So, hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today a former British Gorkha operator and a part of SAS as well, Krishna Thapa. So, in this interview, we'll try to understand his journey of how life was in British Gorkha and even in the SAS and various life lessons that he has learned over his service. So, thanks a lot, sir, for coming here and sharing your experiences. So my first question would be, uh, how did you start your journey from the Himalayas and then you reached the British Gorkha? How was that journey for you? If you could narrate those incidences.
So, thank you, Akash, and then and it's my great honor and privilege. So, obviously, as you all know, boy from Nepal, and joining the forces, like Indian forces is massive, and also the Nepalese forces, and very hard to get in the British forces, but still one of the most pride and highly decorated aspiration. Actually, the boy from Nepal. Eventually, boy like me, I have no academic education as such until now, until today. I just grown up in the Himalayas, massively into the culture, society, and ritual. Kind of philosophy of that background. Yeah, pretty tough going, but because my grandfather was in Indian British forces, in Second World War time,
Okay,
served in India under the British, and actually we lost him in Second World War,
okay.
and my father tried to join in the British forces based in India, many years, and but he failed. He failed to join the because it's not that easy, obviously, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's pretty
Mm,
tough. The important is that the lot of us people we don't give so much value for our ritual and the spiritual value that plays within us, and but actually so important who we are to achieve our vision and mission. Yeah, and grown up Nepal is until age 19 nearby the Annapurna region.
okay.
Very much had a ordinary normal life, no school, normal farming, and a lot more into the ritual of the like philosophy of Hindus and Buddhists, and a little bit Shamanism. Where I was grown up, a little bit. We are kind of mixed bag.
Mm,
We just go everything follows by, and that's kind of my grown up being an eldest son, and I end up taking quite a lot ritual and like pujari, being just pujari
mm,
in my village, and because my father failed to join the Gurkhas, and my parents had a dream for me to join the Gurkha, and either like first obviously British Gurkha and Indian Gurkha, and kind of by ancestor or bloodline kind of
mm,
dream for me to Gurkhas, and I applied first time age 18 and 19,
okay.
and I failed the first time, and but you can imagine like 17, 18 years old boys had
Mm,
a dream, not only our own dream, but we often live in our parents dream in the society we live in, and it was a huge shocked and and shattered dream in a way. But I think on that day, actually, I realized in my life that the failing is actually not failing. The day I failed, I realized when I walked into to the mountain back in my house in Annapurna, Nepal, and I actually reflect. So many things have would have been gone to my dream, and but when I realized everyone sleeping next to my side has joining the forces, and
mm,
why I am packing up my bag and failed, and actually it's often a lot of criticize come within us, and I realized I wasn't well prepared, and I realized my academic education wasn't good, and then I realized actually if I can work on my weakness, we often uh, focus on someone else,
mm,
success, and we often compare ourselves with someone else, but we don't actually look in ourselves and find the weakness and observe and listen our own thought. So on that, walking to the journey to the jungle towards my house when I'm failing, and I actually realized, the day I actually, same day when I realized, then why don't I start working on them? I got the 1 year to preparation, so that I promised myself, and I had a dream, when I'm going next year, I will improve my physical, I will improve my mental, and also I'll focus a lot more, little bit more my weakness. Obviously,
Mm.
I knew that my education wasn't up to the scratch. So I start working on that and I start learning with my own, drive from me. I think that is very important. And once I realized that, and then then really, there is no division, there is no conflict within me. So I had, like, I wake up 5 a.m., I carry the doko in the morning, go uphill and down, and I had set the routine, I had
Mm.
set the discipline within myself. Akash, I think in our life, when we have a dream, something beyond ourselves, when we have the mantra or something I wanted to give to the, not myself, but I wanted to leave the dream for my parents, for my community, my society. It's actually I myself, we don't actually exist.
Mm.
So if there is no, if we, like, because me having a dream to join in the forces, actually, my all the hard work is just a physical pain,
Mm.
but that pain can be overcome once we have something you want to achieve in life bigger than ourselves. And then, even though young, 17, 18 years boy, and I start doing, quite intensive training. And yeah, and then after 1 year, and I turn up again, I had that courage, like, I'm going to do it. And yeah, and then obviously I still remember vividly, that it's a very prolonged, it's about maybe 5 to 6 months selection to join in the forces,
Okay.
Gurkha, British Gurkhas from Nepal. And then one of the hardest part is to carry the doko, the basket on our
Mm.
shoulder, and then we have to run altitude about 1,000 meter. It doesn't really matter about the distance.
Mm.
The killer is the altitude you gaining within 1 hour, the
Mm.
1,000 meter. That is the, so a lot of us don't understand the, like, the pressure of atmospheric pressure, and then the altitude pressure. It doesn't
Changes.
really matter, like sea level or the how altitude you are. The thing is, the ingredient we gain within our is
Mm.
our body physical, metamorph, actually body can't cope. That is the hardest part, but that can be practiced, that can
Mm.
be overcome once you keep putting your body, then body can start learning to adjust. So on that, I think we had, like, thousands people turn up to join the Gurkhas, and then the last phase was 1,000 left, and then the only, there is no, time limit. It's just like either you became 1, 2, 3 out of 20 every package. If you are
Okay.
1, 2, 3, you are passed for the next. If
Uh-huh.
not, then you just pack your bag and go
Mm.
back. So in a way, time, it doesn't really matter. It's just like how you see within the pack,
Mm.
how you see perform within the group. And if you are strong enough, and not only physically but mentally and emotionally, then you can do well. When your body give up, when your everybody start collapsing hard, and it's
Understood.
pain, that's where you have the vision for someone, something else, and you just keep drive and keep your head down. Don't look anything, close your sensation down, and just have that courage within you to keep going and going one foot at a time.
Understood.
So I end up becoming, very well on that, and that is probably the hardest thing I did to join in the Gurkha. And eventually, I joined in the Gurkhas, and yeah, and first time, flying on the aeroplane from Kathmandu to London, and we all have a dream or fantasy dream. We don't know, but we made this dream like, oh, what could be. And but life is not like that, Akash. I think for me it's when I came here and first time I learned. But actually, where we grown up in Nepal, we taught to worship the tree,
Mm,
worship the Akash, and be friendly with environment. The first thing I realized when we landing in London and went to the army barracks, and they said like, you can't touch the tree, you can't walk on the grass, and there's all the time signpost on the ground, or don't walk on the grass, keep
mm,
away. And straight away, it's not only we see the complete different life spectrum,
mm.
not only the surface, the way we dress, and then the way we speak, but everything, pretty much all the way around. And that's probably my biggest shock, in terms of the way we grown up, the whole environment. And next thing is the food. I couldn't understand when I came here. First thing, the food we had was the bacon and sausages, and like, and the bread. And I was like, how the people gonna live with
Mm.
this one? Because in Nepal we grown up a lot of rice, and like curry, and everything is organic from farm. But here is coming to see the bacon, beans, and sausage, and I couldn't understand that. To be honest, that's actually quite hard for us to understand,
Mm.
in a conscious mind. So first thing is definitely had a huge cultural shock, to knowing how to speak, how to dress, how to eat. It's not right or wrong, but it's just the
They are different.
environment is
Yeah.
different, and then food is different, and then we often put ourselves, like very low, but actually it's not so. I think it's just, again, I think this is us putting the pressure on us. Actually, these are the quite big, step to overcome. But again, it is not that impossible once we put, and because you are here for different reason. You are not here to, you know, um, to master that piece, but you are here to master your dream, your desire, and then you have that legacy, isn't it?
Mm.
Legacy which is has to be carried on, and that small things can be put in
Yes.
place and perspective.
Understood.
That's kind of my, yeah, initial takeaway in a way.
Got it, sir. So, sir, when you joined the British Gorkha, so how was your experience once you entered the British Gorkha? Also, there's a legacy of the Gorkhas. So, if you could, why is it so important? Why do Gorkhas are there in India? They are in British. So, if you could describe that significance as well, what makes them so different or special?
So you know what, it is very interesting because they actually, did the big research on the Gurkhas in the UK forces, and um, they did the 10-year campaign research over the war in Afghanistan,
Mm,
Iraq, and so like Falkland Island, and the impact of the Gurkhas are so much unique. Uh, Not only, not only up to the like result and to the fighting, but also the compatibility of human being. I think Gurkhas are the only force who can go and kill the goat and kill the pig with the enemies and local, and eat the food in the daytime together. And when they come back and when they go to the fight, then they go with the fight. I think, and these are the very unique side of the girl, because they couldn't still can't understand, when they were in when we were in the wartime, how the Gurkhas still can go and find the goat and chicken from the
mm,
town and come back and then eat, and then they go and fight with the same thing. I think this is very impact, and they did the research in terms of impact of the winning the mission, mm, on the ground, but also the winning the hearts and mind. You know, also how can we be friends,
Mm-hmm.
learn to be friends with the enemy, learn to be good human. And that they did, every the rotation we have in the wartime is 6 month, normally 6 to 8 month rotation time. And whenever the Gurkhas force goes on the ground for the mission or the war, and everything, the environment is different whenever the other forces, like British forces, people goes. It's just because like that, the aura, the like the communication, the way we
Mm-hmm.
behave, way we speak with the people is completely different. But I think one of my job, lately, I'm not sure as how much you kind of following, but I'm based in Cambridge, and then I do work a lot of with the psychology and emotion specialist, in the Cambridge University with very good friend of mine. And the I think the important, what I'm trying to say is that the culture and ritual we grown up often is intangible. We can't see or feel. The society and culture have a huge impact on us and to perform who we are. I
Mm-hmm.
think for me it's also very fascinating to know that. And I think my argument is that the grown up culture we have in the mountain and the society and ritual are
Mm-hmm.
so fundamentally important who we are today and how we react with the people day to day life. Have that understanding. But if the people and like, it's sad, but we almost forgot in the Western world, that there is no culture, there is no ritual, there is no neither we go to the temple, neither we go to the church, neither we go to the mosque, nor we believe in ourselves. I think this is the biggest problem we're facing in the modern world. I think it's sad to seeing that even in Nepal or Eastern world, we are kind of start losing that, that kind of traditional culture. I think for me is that it is so important for us to ingrain and for us to condition with that, culture and society, so that we are not only the good teacher, we're not only the good soldier, we're not only the good engineers or the scientists, but also that teach us how to be a good human, how
Understood.
to be a good people. I think that's what the Eastern philosophy and the ritual and culture try to teach us, is that be a good human, not only be a good at job whatever we're doing. And that's we definitely lacking up. And I think it's sad, but if we are start losing, and once it's gone, and it's hard, I don't know how we're gonna find that, I think, balance. And that's probably my biggest find, why the like the understanding of the Gorkhas on the war, and also on the understanding peace, is that it directly impact who we are, the way we grown up our childhood.
Understood. So, sir, if you could speak about your experience in the British Gorkha, I think you were in the infantry and then you actually went into SAS, to do SAS. So, if you could describe that journey, how does that selection happen? If you can describe that.
Yeah. So yeah, joining the Gurkhas, and then was maybe 6 or 7 years with the Gurkhas infantry, yeah, Royal Gurkha Rifles. Actually, when I came to the Gurkhas, I choose the like pipe and drums,
Okay,
play
band.
the
Yeah,
music.
yeah,
So I choose it because as I finished, it's purely because I think I wasn't well educated. I was very weak on the English and speaking language, and forget about written. I couldn't even write my name, so weak. And but also because growing up in in Himalayas, we are very much into the culture and dancing, flute, and that's the way we grown up. Every ritual. And when I see, and then during the recruit selection, they come and do the presentation like, oh, we are engineers, we build the bridge, we are signal, we play the radios, and we are safe. We cook and we are the like pipe and drums and music. And I said like, oh, music goes straight, can had my attention. I want to play and dance. And I choose the music, but on the way down, on the way back, the Guruji, the
mm,
teacher, the like selection DS, Gurkha DS, and he said like, Chris, do the 30 press up and go back and change to the infantry.
mm,
And I was like, didn't had I didn't say anything. Okay, okay, Guruji. And then I just run back and changed to infantry because we often sometime I think the key takeaway for me is if it is wasn't for my teacher, my Guruji, I wouldn't be here today. Because and we often have don't we don't know the bigger picture. How am I performing? Who am I? What is my vision? Because we just there to work, and we are a lot of time under pressure. And under pressure mean we couldn't value and we couldn't see the bigger picture. And obviously that teacher, the Guruji, sees on me because I must have little fitter. I knew that when I was running I could carry the like big 94, we call the
mm.
94 the big launcher, like
Okay.
destroy the tank. I could
Mm,
carry on my shoulder and run for the days. That's kind of my I'm good at. And then he must have sees it, and it's like, oh, Krishna, you are fit, so you can go to the infantry, carry the big launcher. And but then yeah, and then he kind of show me, guide me in a way to that. And I say like I accept, because sometimes we need to learn the accept. We need to know if we need to have some guru, some mentor, those people who can guide us. And without them I wouldn't be here. I think that's probably my biggest takeaway with the Gurkhas. And accept. And when someone is giving advice,
mm,
follow the advice. Sometimes we don't know where we're going, but as long as someone is showing you the way and path, please follow it, and you will be somewhere else. Sometimes it's a little bit dodgy, you don't know what is it right, but just accept and just go for it. And without knowing, and I went to the infantry. And I was very fortunate, and I did the para jumping when I was the Gurkhas. Did the PTI, physical training instructor. And the lot of then started doing a lot of course with the, like with the British forces. And we often Gurkhas, we isolated, we just live within the Gurkhas
mm,
community. And I was very fortunate to expose early days working with the British forces and learning, and constant, very steep, learning course with the language. And after 5 6 years, one day my OC, who was obviously British officer, and he called me in the office and said like, and I was flapping. Normally when your officer call you in
mm,
the office, we were like, oh my god, what I have done wrong. And then I was very, very, like anxious and afraid. But he's just like, oh, sit down, Chris, sit down. And first thing he said like, oh, did you hear about the SAS?
mm,
Of course, who didn't hear, especially soldier. And like SAS is the, there's probably the best in the world, and most, decorated, and one of the oldest, like more than I think 300 years now, almost few hundred years old. And yeah, of course. And he's like, oh, how much you know about the selection? I said like, nothing, I don't know nothing about selection. And the second thing is like, oh, you don't worry, tomorrow morning there will be a vehicle outside 6 a.m.,
mm,
you just pack your bargain and up you go on the selection. I said like, wow. And still the first thing I asked him is like, oh, what should I do?
mm,
He just like, don't worry about anything, just carry your bargain and start running. I said like, oh, I think I can do that. But actually it's not that. It's not only that. It's quite tough. And that's how I started my journey. And because they wanted to send on trials how the Gurkhas, the boy from Eastern Wall, we never had anyone going on the SAS,
okay.
until that point. And they were asking and sending on the trials how the Gurkhas does, is it still compatible for the, Gurkhas to go and do the, one of the best and, hardest selection in the world. And I think about 40 of us sent on the trial, like, and then he gave me like, don't worry, Chris, if you pass or fail, because it's a first trial. I know, we know it's hardest selection, but
Mm.
why don't, Gurkhas are pretty fit, and you guys got the appetite, give it a go. And it's also kind of trial, how the Gurkhas done. We might be good at one thing, but maybe not suit for the job sometime. And but let's see, but don't worry. And I said like, okay, my officer said I have no choice, I accept again, no complaint, okay, I will do my best. And 40 of us turned up on the selection, and it was, you can imagine, I'm sure Akash, is probably one of the hardest thing in the world I ever done. And the thing is, um, there is maybe six, or I think 6 to 10 different segment, they look at. And then the about now it's about 1 year process to,
Okay.
to fully call. So it's the first of all, they look at the physical appetite, how physically fit you are, and then they look at your, character. Then they look at your compatibility and compatibility. And like, they flew into the Borneo, and they do the 6 month in jungle, surviving, living on your own, fighting. And then once you pass that, then they bring you in back to the UK. Then they go through the driving and skill and communication, navigation, up in the jungle, but also up in the like most dense, town in London. Then you start doing navigation. Then you are on your own, you got the radio, you have to drive, and you need to guess the, guess the, target. And it's skills, man. And then it's challenging so many ways. And then the driving, you have to be next level. And then you go to the urban kind of, observation and surveillance, anti-surveillance, and VVIP protection. And also the, a lot of now it's a lot of AI, computer driven, how you do, how in all this stuff. And it's very, very challenging. But I think there's 40 of us Gurkhas in the trial, and there's 375 started the
Mm.
selection. Now you can imagine 375 like paras, marine, commando, engineers, RAF. Like, I turn up on the day one, 4 a.m. We've been given the brief, or you're gonna carry the, like 30 kg burden and weapons, and
Okay.
then turn up 4 a.m. And then I turn up like almost 400 turn up. I look at this, British guys, like strong, tall, muscle, and I look standing on the side, and I look at them and I'm like, I have no hope here, my, what the hell I'm doing here. And then, but yeah, I think one thing we need to, sometimes again our mind, play the game. But if you have a attitude, just turn up. You never
Mm.
know. Just turn up. We don't need to be. One thing in my mind was absolutely clear when I started doing the selection was no, I have no expectation. I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna pass. But I said like, you know what? I'm gonna turn up. I don't need to be passed. I'm on the trial, and I just do my best. If I'm gonna well, I'm well. If not, then it's okay. We can only try.
Mm.
That's attitude I had. And it started 375 and 40 Gurkhas. And after, I remember, after almost like 1 year, only 12 of us passed. You know,
Okay.
Only 12 of us passed. And then only two Gurkhas, me and other Gurkhas, and then the 10 British. So 12 of us passed to the SAS. If anything, I think the one of the hardest thing was, is the one of the march was about maybe 200 kilometer long.
Mm.
And we had the bargain, and then the, like all the thing rifles. And we started 11 p.m. in the night, and we finished following day. Following days about maybe middays. But the distance is about 200 kilometer. And also, it's not the distance. The problem is, the when we're doing the stabbing, is one checkpoint is about 20 to 30 kilometer. And between the checkpoint, you come across cliff, jungle, and all the thing and river. You don't know how to cross the river. Then
mm,
it's not only you going A to B, then how you find the crossing point on the river is in January, like freezing cold, and how you survive overnight, how we navigate through all this thing, and you have to cross the river in January. Do you gonna cross in night? You gonna cross in day? And when you're crossing, how you gonna survive and became, still willing to go another, like 100 kilometer, I think
mm,
this is the very, very, like kind of technical aspect. You can't just go and, oh, I'm going to jump in water. Then
mm,
you over, next tomorrow midnight, you're freezing. So I think that's probably the hardest part. Then if we go to other side, how you gonna hit it your arms, how you gonna hit it your feet, and how you gonna steal your weapon has to be immaculate. Your weapon
mm,
can't be weight, or it's and then how you gonna put your stuff in a bargain, and everything has to be waterproof. All the smaller thing, that those are the most hardest thing. Then you missing the time, isn't it? Then you have 200 kilometers to go. Then are you gonna still pass on the time? Those are the lot of stuff, going quite a lot. That's probably the hardest thing. And the one thing I realize is on the morning, early morning, 5 a.m., I'm going through the uphill, and I could not lift my leg. I'm
mm,
so tired overnight, walking and crossing river, everything is freeze. And your body has enough. And I can see a lot of people are collapsing,
okay,
just basically fainting down. They
mm,
could not, the bodies collapse, and look at them and they are dying. And then the DS, our SAS DS came, and like this, they do this thing like, oh, put the finger in front of them, like, oh, how many finger? And they were like, oh, you got 3 finger. And they were like, guys, they can still count, so leave him. So we just start running. I look up in the sky and things like, my God, how the human body made, how
mm,
the human body don't want to give up is, you know, immersely, I was, so much amazed the human body, and like our compatibility and our resilience. The human body has this like different dimension, but it's only we will make a lot more sense and meaningful when you're actually doing it, and when you're seeing it, it's just a difference. And then one point, so hard for me to, then I realized this is my time. You see everyone is dropping and dying and collapsing, but next thing is you can't move your leg, and I look
mm,
at like, God, this is my time now. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna die. And you have you in that moment, you rest in your back and you look up the sky, and I still feeling that, the heat, the early morning sun facing, hitting our face, and you still can feel the breeze of wind coming, and then you look up and you have this dream and vision, you are connected with
mm,
our ancestor. I can see, and my dead grandfather who died in Second World War, and I start, it's very sound very, very kind of, fishy, but actually you have that connection with someone else and something else, and you have that vision, and middle of nowhere, then you know what, I can't give up here, I had to do something. And if you have that driven something outside you, and I start walking, and next thing I find was, finishing on time and finishing the line. And that's how, my the SS selection started. And also, again, going back to my, OC and the
mm,
British officer who, or the someone mentor. I think in one of the thing I realized in our life, we all need to have a mentor, like our parents. And also, we cannot be limited by the person or the position. I think, initially I went on the Gurkhas because of my parents' dream, and for passing from the Gurkhas, then my DS, my Guruji, pointing to the right direction, and from the Gurkhas, then my OC, the British guy, sees on the value on me and my potential, then me accepting that, it's
mm,
constantly changing our goalpost as we move forward. and the situation changes, and I think we need to adopt and listen and accept as we move. The goalpost has to move as well. And and then what I mean is, then the British officer show me the direction, then accept, and why I went to the, obviously, in SAS now, almost like 20 years service, with the SAS, one of the longest service in the history.
Okay.
And I think I have done more than, like 20 operational tour around the world. I have actually worked more than 16 different countries, special forces over the year. And but that's the life, I guess. The biggest thing I learned is that how can we adopt and
Mm,
change our goalpost as we move, and just keep adapting, and hard work. And then hard work, I think I often say that the hard work is our god. If we put our hours, if we put our time, like anything, being a
mm,
father, being a mother, being a teacher, being a doctor, whatever, it's actually the hours we put behind that,
makes sense.
then you became good at that. And whatever dream that could be, I think being a Gurkhas and being a SAS is that nothing is given in your life.
Mm,
You got to earn it, and if you wanted to earn it, you got to work for it. You got to put hours, and you not only, I think, not only physical. We often mislead a lot of youngster and a lot of people. Like, I work hard, but we don't how much. The important for me is how much energy, how
mm,
much spirituality you have, how much of your subconscious mind focus, not only conscious mind, not only going and lifting the weight and carrying the burden and running. It doesn't get you
understood.
anywhere. you know how can you still be very, very motivated with the love, with the emotion, and with the vision which is within us? That
Understood.
is of, often very important for us to the physical aspect. It just follow. I
Got it.
think that's probably.
Example, when you actually went into SAS and you told me that you have gone to multiple tours. So when you went for the first operation or the first combat experience that you had, what was your mindset back then? Of bullets flying for the first time. How did you, prepare yourself for that situation at that moment?
Yeah, I think my first operation tour was to establish the special force in a third world country.
Okay.
And I was acting as a taxi driver.
Okay.
I was on the taxi driver role, but it's like kind of very, like kind of, undercover is, and to find the people who understand, who has that on value, and establish the special force for them. I think the hardest thing I realize is that the um, whatever we do in our life, that the preparation of the death, preparation of ourselves to dying is the hardest to overcome. For the people to overcome that. And and if I didn't have my upbringing of Eastern philosophy, of understanding the meditation, understanding the culture, and the ritual, I think even now I understand more. I spend time with special forces, more I spend time with the life and death, more I can in touch with who am I. And that actually no other people or place or the ritual have the better understanding than Eastern philosophy in the world. I think that's the one thing. That's why I said, for me to understand the ourself and death and preparation, the human being is the culture and society play the vital roles. We often don't recognize that. And yes, I think the when I actually start teaching, and then the lot of rocket landed in our barracks, and a lot of death, and end up dealing with a lot of death. Not only the local death, but also my own friends. And I also have so many time, the bullet coming flying, and you go and start crawling, and you still see the bullet coming, and you're so basically first thing is our sensory start collapsing, because
Okay.
your sensors see something like bullet coming to you, and your eyes and ear is saying, oh, I'm gonna die now, it's start giving up. But once that happened, but there is still basically your body, your sensation is saying you are dead now. It's what the hell you are doing here. But that one, you're still facing death, then you became that death. You
Mm,
became part of the process. Then once it became, we became with that environment, death, then there is no death. you know then you became part of that, then everything starts slow down. It sounds very weird, but that's kind of my experience. Like, oh my god, bullet coming, rocket down, and people dying left, right, center. Then your body start collapsing itself. And
mhm,
then either you became that and into and became painless, or you reject. You reject and then try to away, and or try to avoid, run away. But then where are you going to run away anyway? That is one thing. And then I think that's what one of the thing I realize is accept that. We often is we often don't see, because for me is, in Nepal, we are very close with the death.
mm,
If the parents died, we do this 14 days kriya, isn't it?
mm, mm,
Kriya, and then kriya yoga. And then in all the ritual part of the death is not to you know afraid us, it's not to get away, but to face with the situation head on, and dedicated ourselves with the kriya and the karma we do, be a part of that. And that actually mature our feeling, that actually give us to face if something happen rather than avoid. I think that's probably the biggest thing I learned. And also, in hindsight, if I didn't have the experience with the SAS and the death, I wouldn't have connect with my Kriya yoga, with my Karma yoga, the way I grown up in Nepal with the Hindu's philosophy and also the Buddhist philosophies, that I never would have been connected. But for me, it's, even though I grown up until the age of 19 with that, philosophy and understanding, but I hate it. Being a young boy, you've been taught to do something which you are not, you
mm,
know, wanted to do it. But when I actually face the real life situation in the wartime, death and dying and blood and, rifles and bullet, then I connect with my past. I connect with my, karma and kriya. That's, to be honest, that's probably the biggest thing we have. And I'm so much dedicated to my life to preserve that, process. Now, whenever I go to Nepal, and every year I go, then I actually talk with the, my village people and elders people. It is so important we keep our traditional and the culture, safe, because that gave me the hope, that gave me the faith, that gave me something to preserve myself, to understand with that tools. And if I haven't had that, I know process in my life, I don't know, I could have been gone crazy, I could have gone mad. And I, like, now I can see, now I work, like I say, I work, quite a lot with the injured veterans, and not only veterans, but a lot of civilian, like neuro disease, psychological and mental health. And giving call or talk and speaking with them, is that because they have no understanding of how can we connect with ourselves, and what is the kriya yoga, what is the ritual they try to teach, why the science behind. So I think that's probably my biggest finding myself, is that importance of our Eastern philosophy, and also the importance of our devotion, love. And we often, our soldiers, our the warriors, and they go on the front line. We often see them as the weapon for the normal people, and they but the real thing is those are our people and our sons and our brothers who put themselves there. But when we look at more and deeper, the reason we left the house, the
Mm.
reason we go to the front line is that if we don't do it, someone has to do it. Someone has to protect our entity, someone has to protect our country, someone has to do the job. Then if we don't do now and today, then our generation has to face, and it's going to be more disaster, I think. And the reason they left is that the love, the devotion they have for their family, for their loved one, and for their community, for their country. I think this is the biggest thing. And also, I think that's probably the man, like man and woman can do the ultimate sacrifice of their selves to be to for someone else, for the love and emotion. I think that's probably my biggest finding.
Understood. So, I understand that you have also done tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. So, is there any memorable or let's say a tough operation that you have gone through from which you have a lot of learnings? If you could describe that.
Yeah, it's a lot of, I guess, quite a lot of experiences. Maybe the one of the thing I would give is the jumping. I did a few, not many, quite a few parachute jumping in
Okay.
Afghanistan in midnight, and about 30,000 feet and jumping. And the brief we had was the if we miss the DZ landing site by 100 meters, so we have to land in within 100 meters. So in the military term, we call the restricted landing zone. So you
Yeah.
got 100 meter,
Mm.
and then if we go 100 meter either side, we will be in IED, so
Mm.
we'll be dead. And it was this black night time. We are not allowed to use the light. Everything is like dark, and you can imagine, like with every like you know 6 or 7 different weapon system hanging in your body and bullet, like bombs and everything, and jumping in 30,000 meter and had the brief and landing on the site. And that's probably one of my highlighted things. Not only the like look what I done, but that's not the case. I think the thing is one of the greatest thing I realize is when the soldiers get orders to go and jump in midnight in no man land.
Mm.
You can't use basically death everywhere. Every step you have a death. You can't go to the one step you are death. If you miss the thing, you are death. And also, even though you are the best, you got the best kid, you are best trained, but everyone afraid of death, and everyone afraid of failures. And in that moment, and I was the like warrant officer, one of the highest rank SAS, in the service. And the I was actually second in command, when I was doing that mission. And the um, we obviously, we gave order a couple of hours before. The greatest thing no one talked is that everyone silence. Everyone's go to the. They don't understand the Western world. They don't understand the meditative mode. They don't understand the silence. But for me, who I understand, what we are going through as a human being is everyone will be like have order. They go to the room and they sit down. They don't talk. And we can relate it to the like meditation mode, or you go into the death realization. And a lot of things we often sit down and we think silence is not you know not talking, but often the silence is where a lot of things happen within us,
Mm.
isn't it? A lot of realization happen, a lot of things we can be learned, a lot of reflection can be done. And so do we call like conceptual meditation or visualized meditation, or the like analytical meditation in the Buddhist philosophy. And I end up to be honest, that's what I used to do. When I go to silence mode, a lot of death and hard or the things come, I go and then do the meditation. And the meditation I did was being me jumping from the plane in midnight and flying down and me dying, seeing my own death in front of my colleagues and how my family's gonna react, how my parents in Nepal gonna react, how they sees me, how's my coffin, my death body gonna sees me. And I used to do quite a lot of meditation like that. And when I'm actually jumping, then it's like kind of thought for time
Oh,
coming in
understood.
my mind,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
So I already, so that what I mean is that actually when I'm doing it, I have no scare. I am not afraid. I'm already doing this. So obviously, now all the scientists who are neuroplastic surgeon and all the neuron how they meet, they don't know the real thing, or it's
Mm,
a simulation, or the body is like, oh, I've been here already, I done this
mm,
thing, I seen myself in this situation. It actually helped a lot. And when we did the operation and jumping landing and spend 24 hours undercover, and then coming back, and I end up talking, and then we do quite a lot, we call the hot debrief, whenever we
okay.
do some massive mission, then we do the on the ground quite a lot interaction. And we are then they always ask me, oh, Chris, you are always calm and you always talking to people. And I said, then it's on that early days I start sharing my knowledge and how I prepare myself going into that. And it's actually very very helpful for us to have to see ourselves and to practice mentally. And that's one thing keep us occupied, one thing keep us our mind active. Otherwise then our mind often goes to the dull, when we start hitting some stressful situation we can't comprehend.
Mm,
That's where the blockage comes, isn't it? Then that's where the stop of thought blockage. And if the thought blockage happen, then our body start dying, slowly. So how can we keep active and oxygenated our area? So that's probably my biggest experience of my time, jumping 30,000 and driving a taxi undercover. That's probably the most rewarding, and in so many ways. But also not only kill or capture, but also how can we train the local people, how can we become a good human and be part of their culture and society, not to hinder but to enhance them in a
mm.
good way, whatever that could be. Yeah, that was my one of the greatest experience.
Understood, sir. So, sir, when you went into combats, so what was your favorite weapon when you were in the SAS?
So there's obviously I think that's one of the only unique thing is we don't really have, because we often give them a lot of weapon system to choose, and we often, so everyone has their own different, like someone goes this one, someone goes like, oh, I'm gonna go long, I'm gonna go short. But maybe for me is the one of the like pistol which has got no safety case. There is no safety, and we often say only your safety, you are your safety. Why
Mm,
do we need a safety? And as long as you are proficient what you do. And then there's a pistol called, I'm not sure, they because it's so much design, and you can design your own thing. It's like nothing on the market. And
mm,
they will give the different German and US, and all these people come, and we just ask them, right, can you make this one with this, with that, with this, with that, and you make your own weapon, and you give the name, it's just your name. That's very unique. So we kind of choose and pick a different weapon system and make out. Then maybe that pistol is probably the biggest thing, and also you have the silencer on the
uh,
front, so that no one there. And then there is no safety, very minimum, and then they can be hide whatever in the pocket or shoes, and there's a lot of way. And that's probably my small pocket pistol would be the perfect, and walk around the shopping center, pretty cool, man. Yes.
nice. So if you could also speak about, uh, what makes SES so special, right? So it has that people want to join. So what is so special about SES? What makes it special?
I think why they are so special is, first of all, is the selection is pretty tough.
Mm,
It's maybe like I say, it's because I have, like with, I have seen quite a lot international, forces and I work, and actually I trained quite a lot as my early in later stage in my life. Maybe because the SS is the only people, they focus on all aspect of the land, earth. you know they are well trained in the, London, and like driving around and
mm,
undercover, like a lot of people, like 100,000 people changing the profile, and then you can drop them in the jungle in Borneo,
mm,
in the fast heli free fall. And because they also train on that, and you can drop in the ocean. you know you can literally, they are so well trained, you can drop anywhere. You can, like couple of exercise I did was the jumping in the Norway, January,
oh, okay.
midnight, minus 40 degrees. You can literally go on the plane, free fall. I have done so many times in the Norway minus 40-degree, and then you still find, I think, that have that, diverse and
Profile, yeah.
flexibility range, and what you are capable of physically. A lot of people suffer with the physical,
Mm,
and a lot of people suffer with mental, and also they might have a best, physical fitness, and best, like mental, but they don't have a capacity to deploy and spend the money. Like you can't just fly off to Norway and jump. You
mm,
can't just fly to the US and jump. You need a lot of resources, government backing up, a lot of money, thousand, millions pound. They talk about, maybe, I know one SAS soldier is like, they can't spend how much millions pound they're spending for this one person to make a SAS. It's unbelievable.
mm,
I think that's probably the best thing, they done, is that the diverse, and they understand the whole, geography of the world. They
understood.
understand the, cold, hot, ocean, desert, and we train for that. I think that's probably the biggest thing. We often compare call a lot, and I don't think, if I'm honest with you, any other, SF units will have that, adaptability. It's not the best. It's not like people. We are the same people, I mean,
Mm,
you and I, we are the same people, but only the environment, the training, the money, and that makes you,
different,
like
yeah.
better compact everything. That's probably the best thing, I think, that we are so
Understood.
good at it.
Understood, sir. So you have also climbed the Everest and K2. So if you could narrate any memorable incident that you have when you were doing that, and what kind of mental and physical preparation that you went into before you did that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I was very fortunate, to be part of that as well. And in hindsight, and what I would say is, if you are the good human, and if you are the good, nothing for what for me. I think if you have attitude of, what can I give back to the community, what can I give back to the soldiers, or the families, and if you have that of attitude of gratitude, we often given the opportunity. I think that's probably what I very grateful. I don't think any SAS has planned Everest and K2. I
Mm,
don't think any Gurkhas, or I don't think, having that much thing. For me is, I think, they often, uh, they often say in the SAS, oh, only Krishna, the warrior, can do anything. I think it's just because it's not me. I think for me is that you might know now. For me, it's, I will just go and do, without expectation, without any, oh, what for me, can you do the hard work? And it's like, I'll go and put up. I don't,
mm,
complain. And that's, if you have that attitude of complain less and accept, and then just do your best. And especially for the Everest and K2 was obviously I've been because I was on the SAS, I was the mountain troop specialist, and I
Okay.
did the 2 3 years mountain course in Europe under a kind of undercover, became proper civilian mountain guide, completely under the radar. That's what the beauty of special force I get. And with that background, and when the Gurkhas wanted to do the Everest in 200 years, and they're looking for the instructor to teach them, so I end up guiding whole Gurkhas, and I select from 300 to the 18 to submit Everest. And again, Akash, I think the simplest thing is that the a lot of people think when the commanding or when we doing training for Everest or training for Gurkhas, training for SAS or training for job or mission, whatever. I think it's when come to the very very like final point, it's come down to you and us within us. Everything we see outside is actually inside within us.
Mm.
And I think whenever I climb, I don't know you follow or not. So on 2017, I led the biggest Guinness World Record. 13 of us submitted Everest, and last year I submitted with double amputee, no
Yeah,
legs,
I read
world
that.
record
Yes.
in Everest. The two polar opposite exhibition, and I managed to make a success, is that the we often when we ordinary way of life is, I think we look at and we see the red, white, brown, black, and we don't see truly who the person are. We don't really go beyond our sensation. We don't feel and try to understand how they talk, how they feel, but we all see and put it in the categories and box. Oh, he's brown, he's white, I only speak with this one. Oh, you can't do that. And I said, like, let's go beyond than our, like, let's see. When I saw Everest with the Gurkhas, the biggest world record is that the I often teach them, try to find your own weakness, first. Let's focus on accept your weakness and ask that how can you enhance your weakness and come to me, or someone else who can teach you. You already got the strength, like that's sorted. Let's not focus there. Like, let's go to our weakest part. Are you good at altitude? No.
Mm.
Okay, let's go and find the altitude tent. Let's go and find hold the breathing. It's very simple. If you want to go to the Everest, you are suffering for altitude, is your body is not having enough oxygen. Then how can you train? Or can you hold for the breath, your breath for 1 minute? No. Let's sit down in your room. I want you to hold for 1 minute. Then straight away, you don't have to go anywhere. You know, Start making the adjust the way the life it is and within themselves. It is within ourselves, and start promoting that. And also, and if you are very physically fit, you are altitudely fit, but your mind is not right place. Oh, how can we tackle that? Oh, let's do a little bit meditation. Let's do a little bit walking, talking. Let's go to the nature. So calm ourselves down. Put your mental health the priority. We shift the way that we needs, and that's probably the biggest thing we did. When the people talk about, oh, going in Everest, oh, have you climbed, they don't talk about those stuff. They don't talk about the mental health, they don't talk about the family health, they don't talk about the coal coal acclimatization, they don't talk about the environment acclimatization. They just see Everest. And but I think the for me, so fundamental is that the how these things are taken care of. And once you have your family life, once you have your emotional life, and then everything can be falling apart slowly, then only you can go and climb. And I often create the biggest community groups, and I said, like, if we're gonna go climb, let's make our family together, let's make the friends together, let's get on with the life each other, understanding more. By only understanding more, we can find the strength and weakness, then we can shift the way we react. So that's probably my biggest for Everest. And for the double amputee Everest was, I see he has no legs, and I said my job as a leader is not to focus on his ability, but how can I give him a legs. like imaginary leg, how
Mm,
can he maintain the distance like a normal body if he hasn't got the legs? Then how can
mm,
I put that power on him? Not physical leg, but can I put some emotional support? You can be done, but we're going to go this way. It can be done. Maybe rather than having one fixed line for the average, can we have a two fixed line so that he can use the both arms, so that will compensate his legs energy? Or can we have a three lines? Or maybe we can have a hoist system putting on the side, and someone can assist him. So those are the thing. I'm kind of always focusing on something they are weak, but how can we give them ability to
mm.
have that physically, if not more importantly mentally. And then it's come to technical part, weathers and ice, and those are already there. But that's, to be honest, that is, of course there is always danger. You have to accept the danger, but importantly things are how can we tackle that, in mentally and spiritually. And you know what, meditation is integral part. And those people who goes on the climbing, for me, is like every day 2 hours meditation in the morning, going through the calm their mind, have enough oxygen going in the body, have a nice positive environment. And that only positiveness can create and put forward when come to our manifested, our physical body part. Then you can do that. So I think, if I honest with you, those are the maybe the fundamental
Mm.
in life. For me, it's like, either you do the climbing Everest K2, and then I'm not sure, I actually skied from 8,000 meter in Dhaulagiri, the world record, Guinness World Record.
Nice.
I skied down. And physical manifest is in life is, it is very much within reach, but the important is how can we take care within ourselves and have that vision. Is That's probably the process. And a lot of people talk about discipline, and a lot hard work, but no one talk about the process. How can we be that? I think that's probably my biggest understanding of that. Keep it in those underlying things correct, and then focus.
Understood, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, for your time. You have explained me a lot about, your journey from coming from the Himalayas to the UK, to the Gorkhas, then to the SAS, then climbing the Everest and K2. Uh, Thanks a lot for sharing all those. But what will be your final, message to the listeners that we have, which you would like to share before we end this?
Yeah, I think biggest lesson to me is in life is the try try not to judge the people the way we look, the way we speak, and the way the materialist world, the rich and poor, but try to be learn to be a good human. I think that's probably what we really need. And the important thing is, by only being a good human within ourselves and with the community and the world, and it create a different tomorrow for us, and also the people you are, by only being like good and very very like non-judgment. You have given the different platform now for you to tomorrow. I think with that attitude, I think maybe we have that attitude, and we will be a different human and different vision you can achieve in our life.
Thanks a lot, sir, for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I